Welcome, 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 welcome. It's a little early for a 9 o'clock stream. It's late for an 8 o'clock stream. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here, and I had no real plans to do this. But since the Jay Z news just dropped, I guess we got to talk about it. We got to discuss it. Jay Z is accused of diddling a 13-year-old girl, along with Diddy, back in the year of our Lord 2000. So there needs to be some conversation about this because there has been so much, so many people. Let's rephrase. There has been so many people that have been waiting and praying that Jay Z was going to get accused of something, that Beyonce's husband was going to get taken down, and here it is. There's a lot of people who believe this just off the accusation. There's some people who are doubting this based off the accusation. I want to discuss. Basically, I'm gonna give you the news first, and then we're gonna go over my thoughts on it because we don't really have much information. You know, um, there isn't much information to go off of. Um, so we're gonna have a little bit of conversation. I don't think we are. We're going to have an honest conversation about this because so many people feel so strongly about this subject, because so many people are protective of certain celebrities, because so many people are praying for the downfall of other celebrities. It's definitely something that we got to discuss, however. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to go into it. We're going to give a couple of people some time to come in. So again, thanks everybody for stopping by. This was very abrupt. You know, I was watching a movie called The Man from Nowhere, and reading the story as the movie was on. Uh, I don't have the lawsuit, which usually I like to read myself, but this is from NBC News. The headline: Jay Z accused in a civil lawsuit of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000, along with Sean Diddy Combs. It says Jay Z, the star rapper and entrepreneur whose real name is Sean Carter, was accused in a lawsuit Sunday of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000, along with Sean Diddy Combs. The anonymous accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, said the assault happened after she was driven to an MTV Video Music Awards after party. The federal lawsuit was originally filed in October in the Southern District of New York, listing Combs as a defendant. It was refiled Sunday to include Carter. So, it says Texas-based attorney Tony Busby, who filed the suit, did not comment. Carter issued a lengthy statement on Sunday evening, calling the allegations idiotic and alleging that Busby was engaged in unprofessional behavior. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? Carter said in a statement to NBC News. This was also released on the Rock Nation Twitter account. I'm going to read that too. Busby has filed lawsuits in recent months. All have withheld their complainants' names, accusing Combs of assault and rape. This is the first suit in which he has named another high-profile defendant. In a statement, legal representatives for Combs called the suits, quote, shameless publicity stunts designed to extract payments from celebrities who fear having lies spread about them just as lies have been spread about Mr. Combs. As his legal team has said before, Mr. Combs has full confidence in the facts and the integrity of the judicial process. He shouldn't. In court, the truth will prevail. Not necessarily. I need to stop editorializing. The truth will prevail that Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. Federal prosecutors in New York criminally charged Combs in September with racketeering, sex trafficking, and other offenses, and he is behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after he was denied bail for the third time last month. His trial is scheduled for May the 5th. It says prosecutors said in a court hearing last month that they are in process of potentially bringing more charges against Combs in a superseding indictment. Before Sunday's lawsuit was filed, Carter received it says, quote, Carter received a letter from plaintiff's counsel requesting a mediation to resolve this matter. Busby wrote in the suit. NBC News has seen that letter. In response to the letter Busby wrote in the suit, Carter filed his own lawsuit against the accuser's attorneys. Quote, you have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same, Carter added in his statement. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes of honor. We protect children. The lawsuit claims that in 2000, when Doe was 13, Combs and Carter raped her at a house party after the MTV Video Music Awards in New York. The lawsuit says a friend dropped her off at the VMAs at Radio City Music Hall. She did not have a ticket, and she approached various limousine drivers to try to gain access to the after party, to the show or the after party. One driver, the lawsuit says, told her that he worked for Combs and that she, quote, fit what Diddy was looking for. Interesting, because I don't believe he was calling himself Diddy at the time. He invited her to a party. I'm editorializing, sorry. He invited her to a party after the show and told her to return to his car later in the evening after he transported Carter and Combs, the suit says. Later, the driver picked her up, the suit says, and after 20 minutes, they arrived at a white house with a U-shaped driveway. The suit says she had to sign a document she believed was a non-disclosure agreement on arrival and did not receive a copy to enter the party, which the suit says filled with celebrities and people doing marijuana and cocaine. She was offered a drink, which made her feel woozy, lightheaded, and she felt like she needed to lay down, the suit says. She went into the room to rest. Shortly thereafter, the suit says Combs and Carter entered the room, with Combs says, you are ready to party. That's when she alleges Carter removed her clothes, held her down, and raped her while Combs and an unnamed female celebrity watched. She says Combs also raped her as Carter and the woman looked on. The suit says that she was able to resist being forced to perform oral sex on Combs by hitting him in the back of the neck, and that he stopped. After the alleged assault, the suit says, quote, she grabbed her clothes and left. She made her way to a gas station where she called her father. The accuser is seeking unspecified damages. The lawsuit is filed under New York's Victims and Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. Quote, my heartbreak is for my family, Carter said in the statement. My wife and I will have to set our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake psychics, will believe these idiotic claims you have levied against me. That, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. Oh boy. Oh, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. So, oh boy. So, that's the, there are so many questions that one needs to ask. The idea that a 13-year-old was dropped off at the Video Music Awards by a friend. What 13-year-old has a friend that is driving them around New York City? And of course, where are the parents of this child? Now, of course, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I'm just asking questions because that's what I do. I want, when there's big logic gaps, like a 13-year-old appears at a party and nobody asks a question about what the hell a 13-year-old is doing. 13, she's probably just post-pubescent. Because sometimes girls go through puberty early. Some as early as 12 or 11 or something like that. But it's not like she was been 15 or 16, which, sometimes they develop quite quickly at that age. 13, I don't know. But the part that really jumped out at me is that there was a claim that that Jay-Z was approached by this guy before. Here is this from November the 18th. It says, quote, prominent figure sues lawyer representing Sean Combs' accusers. The unidentified celebrity claims lawyer Tony Busby sent extortion demands in a demand letter containing, quote, fabricated and malicious allegations of sexual assault. Busby vigorously denies the claim. This is from November the 18th, so almost 2 months ago. All right. That was in Rolling Stone, but they put it behind a paywall, so I won't be able to read it. I should have checked to see if it was behind a paywall before I clicked that link. Let's see if USA Today has a list, has the information. There's attorney repping several Diddy accusers sued for extortion by unnamed high-profile celebrities. So now we know it's Jay-Z. So it says attorney Tony Busby, who's been instrumental in bringing several cases of sexual assault against Sean Diddy Combs, denies allegations that he attempted to extort a, quote, high-profile male celebrity. I read in NBC News that this guy has filed 6 different lawsuits against Diddy alone. 6 different lawsuits, ranging between 1995 and 2001. So that's a lot. That's quite a bit. It says, quote, attorneys for the public figure identified anonymously as John Doe in a lawsuit filed Monday allege Busby is, quote, shamelessly attempting to extort exorbitant sums of money from him with the threat of litigation containing, quote, entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of sexual assault, according to court documents obtained by USA Today. The Busby law firm is also named in the 17-page civil lawsuit. Earlier this month, a Texas-based attorney allegedly sent correspondence to Doe, which we now know again is Jay-Z, describing the man as a friend of Combs, quote, based on the fact that the two often attended similar events frequented by celebrities. The complaint reads, the alleged extortion demand stated Doe raped several minors, both male and female, who were purportedly drugged at parties hosted by Combs. Busby then reportedly threatened to, quote, find an untold number of other victims to issue similar abuse claims against the celebrity. The lawsuit reads, so this guy told Jay-Z, give me money now, or I'm going to accuse you of rape of males and females, adults and minors, and then I'm going to find an untold number of other, quote, victims. Interesting. The article continues by saying, additionally, if Doe didn't agree to, quote, confidential mediation to resolve the matter, Busby and his team would allegedly, quote, take a different course. Doe's attorneys called the allegations, quote, nothing more than a weapon and a calculated plot to destroy his high-profile reputation for profit, despite the complete absence of any factual basis for such claims. The man's legal team added that Doe, quote, presently faces a gun to his head, either repeatedly pay an exorbitant sum of money to stop defendants from the wide publication of wildly false allegations of sexual assault, or else face the threat of untold number of civil suits and financial and personal ruin. Those lawyers called Busby's alleged behavior, quote, textbook extortion. Says the lawsuit comes amid Busby's protracted legal battle against Combs, who was arrested in September on charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Last month, Busby revealed he's representing more than 100 alleged victims of Combs. 100. In an email statement to USA Today Monday, Busby called Doe's complaint, quote, a frivolous lawsuit filed against his firm. It's an, quote, aggressive attempt to intimidate or silence me and ultimately my clients. Per Busby, his firm sent a letter, quote, standard demand letter on behalf of 2 of his clients to a New York attorney who, quote, represents an alleged perpetrator and potential defendant, adding that the letters proposed a confidential mediation in place of a lawsuit. Quote, no amount of money was included in the demand letters. No threats were made, Busby said. So he did send letters to Jay-Z. He admitted it. But he's saying, well, we didn't ask for any kind of specific amount of money. We were basically just saying, this is what we're going to do, or this is what we plan to do. If you don't at least come to the table and let us offer a settlement. So somehow this is not extortion when it sounds like extortion to me. If someone says, if you don't do X, then I will do Y, and it's going to damage your reputation, and they say, well, I'll keep it quiet if you do X for me, sounds like extortion to me. They even refer to them as demand letters. So it says the letters are, quote, no different than the ones routinely sent by lawyers across the country in all types of cases. We won't allow the powerful and their high-dollar lawyers to intimidate or silence sexual assault survivors, he said, adding that his team will publicly disclose the demand letters they sent out. So continuing, it says Busby announced his series of lawsuits against Combs on October the 1st, sharing that 120 accusers were planning to bring forth allegations of, quote, violent sexual assault or rape, quote, facilitated sex with controlled substance, dissemination of video recording, sexual abuse of minors. The cases brought by 60 men and 60 women. 60 men and 60 women span incidents going as far back as 1991. Busby said at the time. I thought it was 1995. My bad, it's 1991. 25 of the accusers were minors when the alleged assaults by Combs were made. Since then, Busby has helped lead a new wave of legal action against Combs, including allegations that the hip-hop mogul drugged and raped a 10-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl while attending the Video Music Awards after party in the early 2000s. However, Doe's legal team claimed in Monday's lawsuit that these harrowing accounts are part of, quote, a campaign of widespread extortion targeting high-profile individuals who have any association with Combs. Busby pretends to be speaking truth to power, Doe's attorney said, but that is far from the truth. Defendants have created a new pocket industry that capitalizes on the bravery of those victims who come forward to shake down innocent celebrities, politicians, and business people with an army of masked accusers. Doe, who is suing Busby on charges of extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress, is seeking unspecified damages as compensation as well as a jury trial. The man's attorney said he would disclose his identity in court, though a sealed in-camera filing or as the court otherwise deems appropriate. So now we know that this guy is Jay-Z. That Jay-Z filed a lawsuit against Tony Busby way back in November when Tony Busby approached him asking for negotiations of some type of settlement, or his name will be brought up in the lawsuit. And now here it is 2 months later, and his name is now being brought up in the lawsuit. So, for what we know now, the information is out there. This Tony Busby, I looked up his law firm, and it says currently representing over 150 victims of Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, it went from 100 to 120 to now 150. That's where we are now. Says Tony Busby, the high-profile attorney known for representing victims in high-stakes cases, including the prominent lawsuits against various celebrities and corporations. Busby's approach to litigation, characterized by his aggressive tactics and willingness to take on powerful opponents, has made him a formidable player in the legal arena. This is clearly on his own website. Busby's impact on cases like these cannot be understated. He has a reputation for amplifying the voices of the marginalized. Oh, look at that. Amplifying the voices of the marginalized. Effectively utilizing media to bring attention to the causes he champions. His involvement could signify a shift in how these cases are approached, particularly in terms of public perception and legal strategy. With the backing of a seasoned lawyer like Busby, victims are increasingly empowered to pursue justice against powerful figures. His history of winning high-profile cases not only sets a precedent, but also encourages others to come forward, knowing that they have the legal support to challenge their abusers. I'm not going to read this whole thing. This guy's from Houston. He's from Houston. So there's a lot of people who are, dancing in a circle because Jay-Z was finally accused of something they believe Jay-Z's been doing this entire time. Because Jay-Z has been friends with Harvey Weinstein, Diddy, and R. Kelly. Birds of a feather flock together. It's very suspicious, of course. I am of the opinion that we have an economy and a country that runs on not on lawsuits, but on blackmail. When you look at what's happening with Trump, every time he appoints somebody, there is some kind of rape case behind them or a lawsuit behind them that complicates whether they can actually serve in the role that Trump wants them to serve in. It's happened 3 times, which is very, very odd, isn't it? When Trump, it's actually happened more than 3 times. It happened 4 times at least, because Kavanaugh. Remember when Kavanaugh was going to be put on the Supreme Court? He was accused of rape by a woman who didn't know when it happened and was quiet for 30 years or so, or something like that. So it's I find it very weird that whenever somebody is that all these people are being accused of rape and pedophilia. And I'm thinking that this thing is slowly but surely starting to follow the witch hunt rule. Now, what I call the witch hunt rule is actually how witch hunts work. One, the witch hunts are almost always about witches, at least at first. You believe somebody is a witch. You think that they're doing damage to your community or to other individuals. And these are legitimate beliefs. You legitimately believe that this person or these people are witches. And so you start to actually hunt and look for and expose the witches within your community, organization, etc. And then the second point is, it doesn't become about witches anymore. It becomes about purging the people that you don't like. You start accusing people that you don't really think of a witch as a witch because you just don't like them. And then once everybody is all riled up, and especially if you catch one witch, or somebody is willing to agree that they're a witch or admit that they're a witch, or you find some sort of evidence that they're a witch, it becomes easier to get the mob to believe that there are other witches. So now you or someone comes along and they use the mob's fervor to attack other people who are not really witches, but just people that they don't like. And you see this quite often. Step 2 is the most dangerous step, because step 1 is very hard, because you get people to care about the issue, to get people to talk about it, and then once you've exposed it and you start building some kind of evidence for it, Now it's become a wildfire. Now step 2 is dangerous because people are now scared. People are now alert, and they're looking for witches all over the place. So now you could just throw somebody's name out there and just say, well, he's been involved with this, or he's friends with this person. There are so many pictures and videos of this guy with this guy, and guilt by association. And then the third step is somebody gets accused that nobody believes is guilty, or that person has such esteem, power, and authority in the community that the accusation does not stick. And then people start to really think about it and say to themselves, you know, if this was a false accusation, how many of the other ones were false accusations? And then you can't make the accusations anymore because now people don't believe them. I believe that when you had something like Jeffrey Epstein and you had somebody like Harvey Weinstein, and these people were busted, some of whom there was substantial amounts of evidence that they were doing things. What you saw was so many people trying to attach their most hated celebrity, their most hated political candidate, their most hated movie star or whatever to Epstein Island. Who was on Epstein Island? Who was on the Lolita Express? Who participated in this? Anybody who had ever taken a picture with the guy was guilty. Anybody who was willing to admit that they knew him was guilty. It became an absolute firestorm of people who Epstein controlled. Then, of course, we found out that Epstein was, I believe he was Mossad, which is Israeli, like basically the Israeli CIA. So he's like, what was that? An intelligence agent, and basically he was blackmailing very important people and all over the world and such. So once you start believing that and you start seeing evidence of that, you can't put anybody above it. You can't put anybody above what the accusations are. And so you start looking into things. And so because of Epstein and Weinstein, New York and Maryland and a bunch of other states passed these laws. And these laws allow people to file lawsuits against individuals who supposedly committed crimes 30 or 40 years ago. So then you started seeing Bill Cosby, then Vince McMahon, then, a bunch of other people started getting accused of rape and child molestation and pedophilia with less and less evidence each time. In our mainstream media, we started seeing people like Donald Trump accused of rape with the accuser not even knowing when it supposedly happened, where it supposedly happened, and it being over 30 years ago. And so it started being really problematic. So once somebody's favorite celebrity or individual starts getting accused, they started asking questions like, okay, wait a minute. Now, I don't think that people are protective of Jay-Z, especially. I think people are protective of Beyonce's husband. I think people are looking at it and they say that Jay-Z is very close with Barack Obama. He's very close with Kamala Harris. He's, this is a guy who's picking people for the Super Bowl. This is a very important cultural figure. And there's a lot of people who want to take him down. So there's going to be people who are going to read this, see this, and out just right offhand throw it away and say, I don't believe it. Then there's going to be people who are going to say, because he's so connected, that's why they believe it. Why else would a guy who was an admitted drug dealer be allowed in these inner circles, be allowed to have so much influence, if there wasn't a substantial amount of dirt on him that they could destroy him at any time that they deem appropriate. Now, in some of these instances, like Vince or Diddy or Bill Clinton, or oddly enough, Bill Clinton supposedly raped a girl. He never got sued. Joe Biden got accused of rape as well, but there was no lawsuit. In fact, the young woman who accused Joe Biden of rape, she ran off to Russia. She took off. But the individuals who accuse other people, they're taken extremely seriously. So what you see is a very interesting usage of the witch hunt. The media has decided which people are the witches and which aren't. That with no evidence, certain people are guilty, and with substantial amounts of evidence, other people are innocent. So with the Jay-Z thing, I'm not entirely sure what to believe. I'm not going to put it past him. I mean, Jay-Z was friends with R. Kelly for a really long time. We know from just people talking, R. Kelly, well, not even from people talking, we know that R. Kelly had an inappropriate relationship with Aaliyah. Aaliyah was the girlfriend of Dame Dash, who was the business partner of Jay-Z. So we know that Jay-Z knew that R. Kelly, at the very least, had inappropriate relationships with young girls. And he still did an entire album with them, shot videos with them. And it wasn't until they had a personal falling out that the two of them went their separate ways. And this was in 2000 when that album came out. It was well known what R. Kelly was up to. Again, this is not, R. Kelly is an interesting case because at least with the Aaliyah thing, we know that's not an accusation. We know that's a fact because he admitted it himself. He admitted it at the time. But we also know that the blackmail, or from the Michael Jackson case, that if record companies or movie executives or whomever are tired of dealing with you, they will set you up for failure. And the Michael Jackson situation might be one of those. Now we know that, Michael Jackson was set up. A bunch of other people might have been set up too. We don't know. So at that level, a bunch of people are operating on blackmail. So we don't know who to believe. And these lawsuits are not about finding out what's true and what's not true. These lawsuits are about money. That's what these lawsuits are about. When you trade on your reputation and then people decide that they're going to destroy your reputation, that's really what it's about. Give us money or we're going to destroy your reputation and make it more difficult for you to make money. So this is why not even an hour after the NBC lawsuit the lawsuit was made public, Jay-Z had a response. Jay-Z says, quote, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. We had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever will commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that was the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to to be such a deplorable human being, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine? Marines are known for valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My hardest support goes out to true victims in this world who have to watch their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the projects in Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes of honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics. I thought it said psychics, but it says physics. Fake physics will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding the harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. So he's about to take this one to the mud. I look forward to it. This is the kind of response I want to see from somebody who's falsely accused. It reads like something Jay-Z actually wrote, even though it was put out on the Rock Nation account. It sounds like at least Jay-Z has some hand in writing it. And do I think it's enough? No. Because the people who want to believe it will believe it. The people who don't want to believe it won't. And everybody else is just going to wait to see what evidence they have. But you're talking about something that's almost 25 years old. You're talking about somebody who claimed they were 13 years old in 2000. They're not even 40 years old today. They're probably 38, 39 years old. Most people can't remember what they did 6 months ago. And you're going to sit here and ask somebody to recall an event from 25 years ago. But New York, they opened the door for this with that goofy law that they passed. Now people can just accuse celebrities of rape, child molestation, etc., true or untrue, and expect money. And if you have a slick talking lawyer who says, yeah, they'll just settle, then what happens if the person doesn't settle? Your name is out there. Your face. This is eventually going to find out who this person is. Jay-Z is too high profile of a celebrity. People will eventually find out who this accuser is. It's going to happen eventually. All this John Doe, Jane Doe stuff, and it all comes out in the wash eventually. I don't like this attorney. I don't like most attorneys, I can tell you that. Most of them are scumbaggish. They're looking to get a quick buck. The quicker, the better. But that doesn't mean that what's going on is wrong. But I think if you manage to find 150 accusers, you did not do your due diligence. I can almost guarantee you that. Whenever somebody has like 15 or 20 accusers, and it's all different time periods and all of that stuff, you didn't do your due diligence on all these cases. You didn't do your due diligence on every single one of these, because even if one of them is false or is a lie, it's going to affect all of them. But even more ridiculous is it's not justice if there was some kind of payout, because then it would have to be split up by all the people who were making the accusation. So the law firm would get the bulk of the money. The victims wouldn't get shit. This is something that John Stossel talked about. And I want to pull up John Stossel's video about bullshit class action lawsuits. His videos are almost always quite short, but I do want to put that one on the record. I'm going to, and how they're and how these are usually for kickbacks. WWE TNA Full says waiting for Jaguar Wright interview on CNN where she says I called it. Yeah, to be quite honest, that's where a lot of the accusations towards Jay-Z has come from. She started making those accusations towards Common too later on. Basically, she accuses people of like being inappropriate with minors and beating women and all that kind of. She does that stuff literally all the time. And most people don't take what she says seriously. Some people do. It depends, but for the most part, she will definitely be on television tomorrow. Oh, she's definitely going to be on TV tomorrow. Somebody who really, some organization that doesn't really like Jay-Z or just doesn't really care, or it might be political. It might be like Fox News or something like that. Because Jay-Z and Beyonce were attached to a Kamala Harris, she's probably going to be on TV tomorrow. She's probably fielding phone calls right now of people saying, hey, why don't you come on TV and talk about Jay-Z? And she's going to go and do it because why wouldn't she? So 2 months ago, John Stossel did a piece, a 6-minute piece on class action lawsuits and how they're a scam.
Letters from lawyers? They say, I may be entitled to a payment. Exciting. This one claims my union, which New York State once forced me to join, might have cheated me. I don't think they did, but I filled out the forms and I got this check for $500+. Great. But my lawyers collected $7 million. Is that fair? Likewise, lawyers accuse the Boston Globe of illegally sharing my clicking habits with Facebook. I don't care. Facebook already knows my clicking habits. I'd only subscribe to the Globe to read cartoons my niece draws. I canceled once I realized that most of the Globe is insipid leftist drivel, often just rerun from the New York Times. But still, I got this check for $158.
You may be entitled to compensation. Call now.
The you may be entitled offers come from class action lawyers like these.
An experienced class action law firm.
You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
I don't trust these hustlers, including this one.
I was part of a legal team that helped secure a $289 million verdict.
RFK Jr. made money by claiming people got cancer from Roundup weed killer. Now there are thousands of such lawsuits, but Roundup's a helpful product. It lets farmers control weeds with fewer chemicals.
I don't care about Roundup. I cared about the opening part where he talked about class action lawsuits. Okay, he's gonna talk about how sometimes these things end up in kickbacks too, but that's essentially what ends up happening. That's how you end up with 150 accusers of Sean P. Diddy Combs, right? You end up with 150 accusers because you put out there, hey, I'm looking to sue Sean P. Diddy Combs. If you feel like you were molested or you had some kind of inappropriate run-in with him, he touched you on the shoulder back in 1998, let me know, and I'll just throw your name on the lawsuit. And that's what happens. We saw it with the WWE concussion lawsuit. There were people suing who had a cup of coffee in WWE. People who had 20-year careers somewhere else were suing WWE for concussion protocol lawsuits. It was ridiculous. All this stuff is not about justice. It's about money. And these people are not doing their due diligence. They're not. It's inappropriate, really. It's bullshit. Gozu says the first accusation was during his tour, so the record deal, or rather company, did a settlement. Yeah, we're talking about Michael Jackson at that point. Yeah. I remember that. You know, it was one of those things that he regretted doing later on because he didn't realize that it just opened the door to more. And you can look at the situation like with Vince, right? Vince paid out, one NDA. Likely somebody heard about it, and a bunch of other NDAs followed. I'll be willing to, hopefully, maybe when he's dead or something, we will get a list of when these NDAs were signed. Like they said, it spans over, 6 years or something like that. But we don't know who the attorneys were, right? So we don't know if one attorney got an NDA out of Vince, went and told everybody, like, "Hey, man, if you sue this old guy, he'll just pay you out." Because remember, they used to do this in WCW. Conan and Disco Inferno talked about this, right? That a bunch of people jumped on the race lawsuit in WCW because they wasn't getting enough TV time, but it wasn't because they were racist, because they weren't any good. But a bunch of people just jumped on it because there was an opportunity to get some money. And nobody does their due diligence. What they look at is the volume. It's the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby. People say, oh, 60 people or whatever. They can't possibly be wrong. Have you done, any kind of investigation into even one of these cases? Or are you just looking at it and saying there's 60 accusers, so it must have happened? When in reality, what happens is these lawyers are going out and drumming up business to make it seem more terrible than it really is. Like the lawsuit that I read about Diddy, with the guy claimed that Cuba Gooding Jr. inappropriately touched him, and he showed a picture of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s hand on his shoulder. Cuba Gooding Jr. inappropriately touching me. I'm like, when people hear that kind of stuff, they're thinking he's grabbing your ass, he's grabbing your crotch, he's caressing you in some way, tickling you or something. And then you have to remember, in a legal situation, if you pat somebody on the shoulder, that's assault. Assault doesn't necessarily mean you punched them in the face. If you pat somebody on the back, that's assault. If you touch somebody, if you pointing at somebody, like you talking with your hands and you tap them on the chest, that's assault. I should know this because I've seen people get fired at my job for that. All it takes is for one petty person to say, you assaulted me because you touched me and I didn't ask for you to touch me. And then that's it. It's technically assault. If they file a lawsuit or something like that, the company is responsible for it. So once you understand how these things work, you don't take them that seriously. And this is why you always need to find out what both sides of a story. Like when the Janelle Grant stuff came out, they showed us Vince McMahon's text. They didn't show us any of her texts. Well, they showed some of them. They didn't show us flirting with her. And then when we did see a letter from her, it was, oh, she wrote it under duress. Again, not saying it whether it happened or whether it didn't happen, but I was talking about this with the Ryan Nemeth thing. Oh, Vince, CM Punk threatened me. Okay, you didn't tell the part about how you antagonized him. These are highly technical issues, and people hear stuff and they ingest it, but their mind is going for a ride. You hear somebody was touched inappropriately, you start thinking, of course, crotch, but somebody kissed them or whatever, when it could really just been he tapped them on the shoulder as he walked past. He made demeaning comments about my body. When all the thing he probably said was, you know what? You look good in that dress. Neil deGrasse Tyson. People was making fun of him lately, right? Saying that, oh, he's a phony, he's a fake. You want to know what happened to Neil deGrasse Tyson? He got accused of sexual assault because he asked a young woman to see her tattoo. That's what he did. He asked to see a young woman's tattoo, and she rolled up her sleeve and he touched her arm to see her tattoo, and that was considered inappropriate contact. And he's been on the crazy left-wing trip ever since, because who knows what's going to happen to him now. He's scared. He could lose everything. You never know what you have said or done to somebody that could be brought up later in a litigious fashion by a very smart attorney. X9 says Drake connecting dots and taking the Camel Man down. Drake has done enough on his own, if we're being honest. I think that everybody who was talking about Drake, look, Drake going out to dinner with underage kids is the reason why people are saying what they're saying about Drake. I wish he should be smarter. Even if he is just, I'm hanging out with a friend. Like, you gotta have the Mike Pence rule when you got so much money and all that. You can't even be the appearance of impropriety is impropriety, Low-key says there's a reason I only fuck with the Nas, Dipset, and the Lox. Well, you know what? Nas is an interesting case because it was kind of water off a duck's back, but Khalees accused Nas of domestic violence, and only a certain number of people even believe that. Most people just kind of was like that they didn't believe it, but it's out there if you look. She said he was abusive. Again, this stuff, it always comes out. They had a really ugly divorce. It was uglier than most people recognize. And one of the first things they go to is domestic violence and, all that kind of shit, right? Society Review says Jay-Z had that response in his draft since Diddy got arrested. Oh, absolutely. Ever since, and the thing is, he was pretty aggressive with Jaguar Wright, too. And because people kept saying over the course of time, why don't Jay-Z or whoever sue her if she's lying? But she doesn't have any money. It'll cost him way more to sue her than he would ever get out of this whole situation. But yeah, I believe they sent her like some kind of cease and desist, and they sent a note to Piers Morgan. Here it is in the Hollywood Reporter, now that you mention it, from October the 8th. Piers Morgan issued an on-air apology to Jay-Z and Beyonce this week regarding an interview with Jaguar Wright, who made allegations on Morgan's show against the superstar. This site keep moving all these pop-ups. Who made allegations on Morgan's show against the superstar power couple that turned out to be false. I hate the internet, though. I swear to God, I hate the internet. I can't use a simple site without 100 pop-ups and videos and all kinds of shit. Wright, a singer, recently appeared on Morgan's show Uncensored, where she spoke about the Sean P. Diddy Combs arrest. It says, quote, "For 4 years, I've been screaming about not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters," Wright said during her interview. Elsewhere, she claimed that Jay-Z and Beyonce both have hundreds of victims. On Tuesday, Morgan revealed on his show that Jay-Z and Beyonce's lawyers contacted him and that Wright's claims were, quote, "totally false and have no basis in fact." The thing about platforms, Morgan said, the reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited Wright on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. And he is absolutely correct. Because Jaguar Wright, again, she's correct. She's been saying Jay-Z and Beyonce and Common and Talib Kweli, and she accused one of the dudes of in the roots of rape or something like that too. She's been doing this shit for years. 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 And she got away with it because nobody pays her any attention. But now, oh, people are listening now. People are acting on these things now. Jay-Z's name was on social media all over the place when Diddy got arrested. So he's been really aggressive. He's been really aggressive. Piers Morgan continues, saying Jaguar unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. We had lawyers contact us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with a legal request to cut them from the original interview. That's power. That's what makes people think that they're guilty, though. Jay-Z and Beyonce didn't need to make a public statement. They made a directed statement to Piers Morgan, basically threatening him. We're going to sue you for airing those statements if you don't take them out. So he took them out. He don't want that drama. Plus, he already got the attention that he was looking for. All he wanted was the clicks, and he got the clicks already. The interview has already been clipped to include the defamatory statements, and it was floating around TikTok and Twitter. He don't need it on his personal account anymore. It's already out there. Morgan concluded his message with a direct apology, quote, editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theater, there are legal limits on us too. And we apologize to Jay-Z and Beyonce. On Wednesday, attorney for Jay-Z and Beyonce, Alex Spiro, told TMZ that, quote, somebody reported it with a cease and desist. It wasn't that. It was quite bluntly an ultimatum. There's rumors, and then there's nonsense. And this is one step further. Remove that false accusation that's demonstrably false, or a court's going to order you to. I think he made the wise choice and acted accordingly. He didn't just harm the Carters. What he did effectively was to drown out the voices of actual victims in an ongoing case, in an ongoing investigation. And that was too much for me. Amazing. They got it done quick. Within days, it was done. And this is what people wanted, though. People was like, oh, Jaguar Wright, she's been saying all this stuff for so many years, and Jay-Z never did anything. And then as soon as Jay-Z does something, well, he must be guilty. Must be guilty. Otherwise, why not just let her say what she's going to say? Well, it's different now. She's not on a platform in the middle of nowhere where nobody listens to this stuff. It floats around TikTok, or it floats around YouTube, or it ends up in a YouTube short that gets a couple thousand views. Piers Morgan is a pretty big channel, and he has some pretty important people on that show. A lot of people watch it. So they put the kibosh on that. They put the kibosh on that. And you know what? I haven't seen Jaguar Wright on an interview since. It's been over a month. And I haven't seen any new Jaguar Wright interviews since. All the ones I've seen have been old. So there was a chilling effect when it came to that, right? They're not letting her go on TV, or she may do it. She may go on TV now because it's it's public. Now that Jay-Z's name is out there in connection with Diddy, CNN or somebody like that, maybe not CNN because they like Kamala Harris and all that. Maybe Fox News or somebody will throw her on television. Maybe she'll get invited back to Piers Morgan. Maybe it'll be a different YouTuber or something who will throw her on there. But I know she's getting phone calls because she's known for this. But Piers Morgan bending the knee, oh, that happened very fast. It happened quick. Low-key says Beyonce might actually be a witch. I don't know. But here's the thing. Beyonce is such a popular celebrity, and she so meticulously controls her public image. You cannot have unauthorized pictures of Beyonce on social media. That's how controlling of her public image that her and her team are. So I can guarantee you, people within her inner circle are very well protected. And now we talking about Beyonce's husband. We talking about Beyonce going and putting her name next to Kamala Harris. People ain't even talking about, Beyonce being paid for that either, even though she claims she wasn't. I'm pretty sure they claim they weren't. But no doubt they were. They all were. Now they're saying that there's no evidence Kamala Harris paid any celebrities to endorse her after, oh, it didn't happen. It's a fact checked by the USA Today. Then how are they broke? They they brought in like $1.2 billion, and now they're broke. How? Where did all that money go? Anyway, WG Field says now they're going after a Trump pick who accidentally killed her dad on a shooting range. It don't matter what it is, bro. That's the nature of our politics today. Everybody's got dirt on them somewhere, somehow. If you got caught with your finger in your nose in 4th grade, all of a sudden that's going to get brought up now because that's the cancel culture. That's the witch hunt. The idea is to use these type of really horrible crimes, and they are crimes, and I'm very disgusted that 99% of these things end up in civil court and not in criminal court. I'm always disgusted when I see that. But people are using crimes and these horrible things to destroy people's lives because it's politically convenient. I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that at all. AJ3 says R. Kelly, Drake, Beyonce, P. Diddy, and now Jay-Z are all exposed. I don't think they've been exposed, if we're being honest. An expose requires a substantial amount of evidence. And with Diddy, it was at least an expose. R. Kelly was something that everybody already knew. R. Kelly is one of the people that you can take out of this situation as we don't know. No, R. Kelly is a fact. Even if R. Kelly didn't do all the other stuff, like have a dungeon in his attic or something like that, which is all very cartoonishly evil. We know that he was involved with an underage girl. That's a fact. At least one. And that's more than enough for me. So all the other things, all these grown-ups who said R. Kelly handcuffed them and gagged them and all this kind of stuff, whatever. All right, we know for a fact that R. Kelly was involved with at least one underage girl. That's more than enough. That's more than enough evidence than you have on most people. Just like we know Bill Cosby gave drugs to certain women who may have passed out during sex, before sex, or whatever. I personally think a lot of that stuff was mutual. They were doing drugs together. It's like when men and women drink together, and the woman is 5'4", 200 pounds, or maybe 140, and she tries to drink what you're drinking, and she conks out because she can't handle the liquor like you can. Male physiology and female physiology are two different things. But we keep getting taught that men and women are the same. But then we also allow for these double standards. where a woman can get drunk and anything she does while she's drunk, she's not responsible for. Next week, I think we're gonna look at the Girls Gone Wild documentary because I want to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet. AJ3 says another one bites the dust. Loki says Diddy taking everyone down directly or indirectly. That is absolutely true. And I think that if there was somebody for him to snitch on and stay alive, he would do that. See, Diddy is another one that I believe. And I don't believe it because there's 150 accusers. I believe it because there were jokes. There were people like Exhibit who talked about how Diddy was weird. And he said it in a laughing, jokey way that when him would party with Diddy and guys like Fabulous and stuff, who almost get traumatized when Diddy talk about coming to party with them, or how they used to go to parties with Diddy and there was like, I don't want to use let's say just say trannies were there. Like, apparently there was like a tranny in the Notorious B.I.G. video that was picked by Diddy to be in the video. Like, there's a lot of stuff about the Diddy situation that I believe. Diddy was protected for a really long time. When he beat that gun case and Shine took the L on that, that's kind of what Shine is there for, to be quite honest. But he was dating a high-profile celebrity, Jennifer Lopez. It wasn't going to let him, take her down with him. Maybe it'd be a different ball game if it was today, because she's not as high profile now as she was in 2000. But Diddy, there's a lot about that I and then we saw him beat up Cassie. So there's so much of stuff that we can just look at and say, yeah, dude's a weirdo. I'm not ready to throw him all away like R. Kelly, because R. Kelly is just one that was a hole in one, because we know that he married an underage girl. That's a hole in one right there. You can't deny that one. Like there's no way out of it. Snitching is the only way to save Diddy. Well, the thing is, a lot of his criminal charges are based on the Cassie lawsuit and the lawsuit from that other guy. We don't know what kind of evidence they have of these crimes because we haven't had the trial yet. And most of the time, when it comes to indictments and things like this, if you have a terrible public perception, which Diddy has, you'll get some leeway, and the prosecutors will get leeway, and then you'll be, just like he got thrown in jail. They threw him in jail because they were like, look, are we going to be the ones that are going to let Diddy continue to walk around? No, you're not going to let Diddy walk around. Throw his ass in jail. Stone Mexican guy says, I hope they get Jay-Z because his music sucks. That's weird. Loa says, let's be honest, Mongo, who didn't see this shit coming? Also, Hood brother. Yeah, I think everybody kind of figured the Jay-Z thing was coming. I mean, again, they've been talking about it for so long. It's not coming completely out of nowhere. This is one of those things that most people understood was next on the menu for the culture. They wanted to bring down, there's people who wanted to bring down Jay-Z. So here's their chance to. Gozu says, I know Jay-Z and Puffy got disappearing motherfuckers money, but her father didn't do anything after picking her up. And that's one of the many things that I'm deeply concerned about, because if she had an active father, why was she even out at the VMAs? And then when you say your friend drove you to the VMAs, why wouldn't you name the friend? Because the friend is the one who basically sex trafficked you. not really a friend at that point, right? Not in my book, anyway. AJ3 says, I saw some Dame Dash clips where he talked about Jay Block signing Nori and Joe Button to Rockefeller Records. Did you see this documentary called Mercy Made? I did not see the documentary, but I did see those clips. And that stuff was pretty well known at the time, if we're being honest. Just like it was pretty well known at the time that Jay-Z didn't want to do business with like DMX, and some other people, Cameron and all those guys. It was pretty well known at the time. Jay-Z's a very political guy. AJ3 says 50 Cent always hated Jay-Z and Puff because they were the ones who blacklisted him. Now it's payback time. Surviving Diddy, surviving Jay-Z is coming on 50 Cent action. I really want to see if 50 Cent wants that kind of smoke with Jay-Z. Diddy is an easy target because there's so many people out there who dislike the guy, and because he admitted himself that he throws the wildest fucking parties in Hollywood. Again, a lot of this stuff that a lot of this stuff has been guys over the years saying things and it coming back to haunt them. And nothing has haunted people more than Diddy talking about his parties. Because now he cannot say that it wasn't happening. Everybody knows it was happening. Beep says, Diddy gonna get Jack Rubied on the way to prison by Farnsworth Cobblepot. Gonna bludgeon him to death with that umbrella. Everybody's looking for Farnsworth Bentley. See what's going on with that guy. I don't think he knows much, though. Humble 85 said, Diddy beat up Steve Stout over a music video with Nas. I heard about that. No jail bars, Jigga, no pies, no case, just Hawaiian shirts hanging with Little Chase. I remember that. That was hilarious at the time. WG Phil says he assumed Diddy was just a highly closeted dude. Yeah, over time though, he became less closeted. He never outly said that he was bisexual, but it became one of those open secrets where, like Luther Vandross never said anything about being gay, to my knowledge. But it was kind of one of those things that kind of everybody knew it. Like nobody ever thought that Diddy was straight. Almost everybody thought that nigga was gay. Christopher Gordon says Kevin Hart, Will Smith, and Usher have been doing weirdo stuff at Freak House. But here's the thing: Usher was underage when a lot of that stuff was happening, and that's what makes him such a crazy case. Because Usher, he started hanging out with Diddy when he was underage. He was one of those people, a lot like Aaliyah, where his parents basically threw him to the wolves. And that was very unfortunate. But that seems to be how that happened. AJ says rap culture must go. The question is, I don't know what you mean by rap culture. I don't look at this as rap culture. I look at it from the perspective of people with money largely seek to corrupt others and use their money in ways to which they can influence other people. And that's typically what they do. Christopher Gordon said that list is going to be wild. Oh, it's already crazy. It's already some sick shit going on, man. WG Fields, do you think Trump has the ability to make cancel culture a crime because he would be shooting himself in the foot if he continues to allow this to happen? I think that the only way for this stuff to stop is for there to be a strengthening of defamation and libel law. But the thing is, a lot of people who are free speech absolutists, they are kind of like, no, you can't do that. And then it will also allow what's already happening with people like Jay-Z and Beyonce can send cease and desist letters or just launch really expensive lawsuits against a company or a person for saying they did X, Y, and Z. And that's a way of chilling and quieting people. So that's why it'll never happen. But Trump said he wanted to do that. He said he wanted to strengthen defamation against public figures because of so much defamation that and slander and libel that he has faced. He wants to try to make it a crime or to strengthen your ability to countersue. But the reason why people are fighting against it is because they think the stuff against Trump is true and that he just wants to sue people to shut them up. But what they don't see is that a lot of this stuff is just damaging because they're using it against other political figures. It works. They've been doing it for 30 years or so. It happened to Clarence Thomas, for God's sake. Whenever people just, somebody gets upset with you, or you run for office or something, next thing you know, you're a rapist. And you're like, what the hell? How did I end up as a rapist? But there it is. AJ3 says, it's like when Kanye was on Drink Champs and Kanye was at his lowest, talked about George Floyd and the family attacked Nori and he apologized, but Ye escaped. Yeah. Or another good one is the Alex Jones situation. When Trump got shot, and somebody died when Trump got shot, a lot of sites and individuals were talking about how it was a hoax. That Trump getting shot was a hoax. It wasn't real. I think he was just talking about this now recently when they was talking about it was shrapnel that he was hit with or whatever. When Alex Jones said that Sandy Hook and all that kind of stuff was a hoax, he got sued into oblivion. How is it that certain people can get away with certain things and other people can't? How is it that? And this has happened multiple times. The Dominion lawsuit at Fox News that cost Tucker Carlson his job, right? That whole thing was able to go forward. But there have been plenty of lawsuits towards people like MSNBC, and they get the protection of, well, it's just an opinion. They're just making an opinion. There has been people who have tried to sue. What's that thick neck woman on MSNBC? Shit. Her name right on the tip of my tongue too. But you know who I'm talking about. They sued her, and their opinion was, well, the judge would say, oh, she's just saying her opinion. And they got away with it. A news organization got away with obviously lying and spreading misinformation because it was her opinion. But when other people get caught in lies, then okay, it's defamation, it's libel. We're going to hit you with an exorbitant amount of money. It was just an absurd amount of money. Like the amount of money that somebody like Alex Jones is expected to pay is something he wouldn't be able to earn in a lifetime. It's exorbitant. The entire point is to shut down InfoWars. And so the Dominion lawsuit played the same role for Fox News. The whole point was to bring down Fox News. But they took their pound of flesh by taking away Tucker Carlson. By saying, you know what, no, we'll let you keep Fox, but you got to sacrifice Tucker. And so they did. Again, it's all blackmail, it's all defamation, libel, etc. That's why I'm not sure what to believe. Because a lot of these people are out here lying. And some people that you know are lying are getting away with lying because they're protected. Just like the woman who stood up there and said that Brett Kavanaugh raped her with no evidence. She went on a speaking tour. Nobody's going to sue her for all these fucking lies. The mattress girl who lied, Jussie Smollett, look at what he just benefited from the corruption of the prosecutor's office in Illinois. Certain people are protected, other people are not. And it's not just one side of the aisle either. It's both sides. AJ3 says Charlamagne the God is accused of sexual abuse too. Yes, he is. That's why there's so many rainbow flags all over the Breakfast Club. Because Charlamagne the God has also been accused of having sex. I think was it an underage girl? I think that's in my bookmarks. And that's been going on for a while. And Charlamagne the God's he hasn't even been removed from his spot on the Breakfast Club. That's amazing, isn't it? Let me look that up while you guys are doing this. I plan to stop at 10 o'clock, but I want to look at the Charlamagne rape case real quick and get that one on the record before I forget. Lowkey07 says walking towards someone with the intent to do harm is considered assault. In a lot of places, the battery we put in your hands on them, different states, different laws. Yeah, that you can be arrested for robbery if you threaten somebody or if they believe that you're going to be violent towards them. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there that people don't understand is technically a crime. Yeah, so Charlamagne the God was accused of rape and pedophilia. I'm trying to find the actual case. And this is based off of an interview he did 2 years ago where he admitted to drugging some girl on a podcast. You know, like, again, people who talk for a living don't really think about the things that they say. They don't really consider what they're saying. Okay, so it says Charlamagne recording has surfaced, this one from 2015, in which McKelvey describes a separate incident involving another woman. In the exchange, which was recorded on Brilliant Idiots podcast, McKelvey recounts giving a woman Spanish fly and having sex with her while she was, quote, wasted. McKelvey also insists that the sex was consensual, though he admits that his partner did not remember the encounter and wasn't coherent at the time. So Charlamagne the Fraud, aka, I forgot what his first name is, but his last name is McKelvey. And this one came out 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure. What happened to this? What happened to this case? Hasn't even gone to hearing yet. So Charlamagne's the original story that I was looking at is from 2018. The conversation was from 2015, and Charlamagne says that the incident happened in the 90s. But that was just one of the situations. He was also hit with a sexual assault lawsuit, and the girl was underage. She was 15, apparently. I think there was another one where he claimed he had sex with his wife while she was unconscious, while she was his girlfriend or something. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this guy. Yeah, it was a lot of really weird stuff going on with that guy, man. And it explains why. Look, he hasn't been removed from any of the shows that he's on. I don't believe he's lost $1 after all of this stuff. So from December 2022, Charlamagne the God hit with sexual assault lawsuit. This is on the root. The self-filed lawsuit is meritless and will be dismissed. It says Jessica Reed, the woman filing the suit, is representing herself. She doesn't even have a lawyer. It says Charlamagne never admitted to giving her alcohol. He does not know Ms. Reed. He never handed her alcohol. So it says it looks like Charlamagne the God may be in for a forthcoming legal battle. I'm very interested in what happened to this because this was 2 years ago. So we should know more about this by now. But yeah, he was accused of having sex with a 14-year-old girl and other underage people and a bunch of stuff and things that he said himself. Then he said he had to tell. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. People are saying Trump planned his assassination. Yeah, there was a lot of nonsense that was coming on out there, right? There was just so much. And nobody got sued by the family of the guy who died, right? You got to start asking questions about what kind of legal system do we have? We don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. And how certain people are able to get away with things. So I guess the lawsuit is still ongoing. I don't see any sort of update. Wait, this is something here. Oh, the lawsuit was dismissed in October of this year. So it says Charlamagne shut down his sexual assault accusers' lawsuit. The case has been officially dismissed. According to court documents, on September 30th, a federal judge in New York dismissed the claims of sexual assault and battery brought by Jessica Nicole Reed against Leonard Larry McKelvey. So he beat the case. He got it thrown out. But the girl apparently didn't have like a real lawyer anyway. And it says the judge denied Jessica the opportunity to amend her lawsuit, saying, quote, Jessica has not demonstrated that an amended complaint would cure any of the pleading defects. She filed her lawsuit in 2022, accusing him of sexual assault, battery, and defamation. She claimed the incident took place in 2001. She was 15 and he was 22. She said she did not cooperate with the authorities during the investigation. Charlamagne denied the accusation and took a DNA test for the police. The radio host ended up pleading to a reduced charge of contributing to delinquency of a minor and was sentenced to 3 years probation. Now, he said he didn't know who she was, right? I will remember that. So I'm not going to go into the graphic details of the rape accusation because the case was thrown out, so it don't matter anyway. But it's amazing how certain people are protected. They can get away with this kind of thing. Low-key says, I think we are living in the dying days of free speech. Both Dems and Republicans want to alter it so it benefits them. Yeah, and it's the same thing with every case, right? The Democrats want the unmitigated power to accuse you of rape and have you kicked off of everything, fired from every job with no evidence. That's what they're doing in college campuses. With no evidence, with merely an accusation, a boy can get kicked off of college campuses, lose his scholarships, lose all of the progress that he's made, get kicked off of a team or whatever, just with merely an accusation. They want to bring that to the public sector and then to the public office. I mean, to the private sector and the public sector. You can't really beat these accusations either. I mean, this Charlamagne the God situation is very, very rare that you get one of these things thrown out. It's extremely rare. Most of the time, you have to at least go to court over it. Rachel Maddow, yes, that's exactly who it is. Thick neck broad. Beep says taking care of the lawfare situation is a mighty tall order, considering how entrenched the legal world is in victim bucks ideology. Yeah, and there was another thing that I wanted to consider, because you also have it with the Innocence Project. Like, now another Innocence Project person, I guess you could say, a person they got out of jail, has committed a murder. This is the second one this year that they got out of prison that went back for murder. The Innocence Project is bullshit, and this is why I wanted to play like the class action thing, because a lot of that is bullshit too. And what you get is a lot of it is an indirect way of paying left-wing organizations. And to amend these laws would be a direct attack on those institutions, because so much of the money that comes from a lot of the discrimination lawsuits, the money ends up in places like the NAACP or other similar kind of organizations, or Black Lives Matter or something like that, or some kind of GLAAD type of organization for gays and lesbians and stuff like this. The money ends up there. You know, as part of the settlement, a chunk of money has to be given to some kind of favorite organization. And so what that means is these activist lawyers will drum up business, go and get a settlement, cut in their favorite organization, whether it be some race-based organization, some gender-based organization, some sex-based organization, and that's where all the money comes from. You'll sue Walmart, you'll sue IBM or something like that, get $50 million, 10 of it will go to the law firm. They'll split up whatever it is amongst the many people who are involved in the class action lawsuit, and then a big chunk of money will go to some LGBT organization or something. And then people are like, how can you do that? But that's part of the settlement process. It's part of the negotiations. And that's what they've been doing. Christopher Gordon says Justin Bieber was an unwilling participant. I've seen interactions he had with Diddy. He looked so uncomfortable. Diddy got him. Sick stuff. Yeah, these people are very, very sick. They're very bad off, man. So thanks everybody for stopping by. So that's all we got so far. We'll see whether we know that Jay-Z's probably not going to buckle on this thing. He seems to be pretty serious. And it ought to be funny, at the very least, to see who is going to just believe it, because believe all women, or who's going to deny it because is Jay-Z and he's one of their favorites. So it ought to be interesting. Thank you for stopping by. I'll talk to you guys later.